guys need that. Like male socialization. They need
Peer
like
pressure.
yeah, they need bullies. Okay.
I'm gonna clip that the guys need bullies and just put that part like as a promo.
And I don't think anybody needs bullied either, for clarification.
Welcome to episode 2 of the T for T podcast. We have a very special guest on the show today, which we will get to in just a bit. But as always, I'm Alana.
I'm Naomi.
And I'm Cassandra.
And Cassandra, I notice you are not on camera at the moment. Do you mind sharing what just happened to you recently?
Of course, actually, just this last Friday, I had my facial feminization surgery, so I am wrapped up pretty badly right now. And yeah.
That's fucking awesome. I'm so happy for you, and so happy that you're over that hump, and now it's just the healing part, and before you know it, you'll be back to being like your normal self.
Sure.
I know that Naomi, you went and stopped by and visited her, right?
I did, yeah. I went to San Francisco and visited Cassandra in her hotel room, and we hung out and talked, and I told her about some new Ghostbusters toys that are coming out.
I saw the very chic modeling picture that you took of her, which was kind of a throwback to your own FFS when you were
it's
modeling
a tradition
in a cast as well.
It's kind of just a little tradition.
Well, I definitely didn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Alana, if you wanted to, you could always just wrap your head up and then take some pictures.
Yeah.
I probably don't want to, but I
Okay.
do appreciate the sentiment, though.
Well,
Thanks for making sure I'm not left out and what to do when your head is wrapped.
So because of Cassandra's facial surgery, she's not going to talk much this episode, but she has joined us, and we're happy that everyone could be here to talk to the lovely Stacy Cay.
Very exciting for this. This is our first guest that we will be kicking off the show with, and I knew that like my jokes suck, and we are in grave need of some additional comedy, so that's why we roped her into this. So without further ado,
the Stacy Cay.
We've been all over the country. We've seen pedestrians of all walks of life, and Cardinals fans just kind of aren't aware that there are cars.
So thanks for joining us, Stacy Cay. It's lovely to have you here. We are big fans of your work.
Yeah, really big fans.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's an honor to be here.
What's actually interesting is you're like literally our first guest.
You gotta have a clown for the first run. So
yeah, thank you for letting us exploit your comedy.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate
a lot
that.
of people do.
How did you get into comedy?
I've always liked comedy. I listened to a lot of just stand up on Netflix and stuff, like whenever I was back as a sad guy, right? But I didn't really think that it was something I could seriously do, because one, I lived in Arkansas, there's nothing there, and two, I wasn't pretty like I am now, right? And I started doing it after after I transitioned, moved to Kansas City, and then whenever COVID hit, I had nothing to do outside, and people were doing outdoor open mics, so I started doing that, and I did that for about 6 or 7 months until things started opening back up, and I got my first booking, and then from there on I just kept getting booked at places, and I ended up in New York, and now I've got a pretty firm footing there, and now it's just about getting good material and preparing to record it for the internet and world to see and stuff. So I just got to be good now.
Do you have a joke that just kills every time?
Yeah, I've got a joke about my cat. I've got a joke about trans dating.
Sure.
Those two always crush.
Oh yeah.
And the clip that I just used to prove to everybody that I'm funny is the one that I have pinned on my Instagram, where I'm
the romper.
Oh, I'm wearing a romper today. You normally have to take it off entirely to pee, but not if you're transgender.
The best part is you anticipated what the audience was thinking as you're about to say the next part of it.
You can just kind of,
like knowing how long to kind of like leave that in the air and then saying it aloud, I think is pretty genius, actually.
You do have to take it off to shit. I was sitting there thinking, I really wish I had a dick on my butt too, so I didn't have to take this thing off.
The magic of comedy is saying the thing that they're now thinking based on the thing you
Exactly.
said earlier, and you have to be able to respond to the energy in the room to be a great comedian. And I've gotten a lot better at it than I used to be. But you know, you can't just go up there and recite your script. You have to read people.
I was gonna ask, are you currently single?
How rich are you?
Not very, but I was an English language arts teacher, so I am very literate.
That doesn't sound very rich to me.
Were you like funny growing up, even though you weren't a stand-up comedian? Like, were you known as like being really funny?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So were you like the class clown, or did you like write for the class clown?
I want to like act up, if that's what you're at. I was a good Christian boy who did nothing wrong, right? Like that was kind of but I was like really goofy.
Can that be like the name of your Netflix special, Good Christian Boy?
Good Christian boy.
I have to make sure my hair and makeup is on point though, so they know it's ironic.
Which it will be, because gorgeous. But...
Right. Thank you.
So would your goal be to be on like a Netflix comedy special at some point?
Mm-hmm. That's the gold standard.
I know it's gonna happen for you
I've
eventually.
always thought so too.
I did a show last night and I crushed it, that show. You guys should have been at that show. Like this show.
I mean, I wish I would. Where is that? New York?
Yeah.
And if you have a show in LA at some point, I would love to come see it.
Oh, same.
I went there a few times last year, and I'm sure I'll come back at some point. We're supposed to me and Robin Tran are supposed to tour.
Awesome.
That's
Congrats
awesome.
on that.
We don't think
So wait, how did you start touring together initially? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I mean, first, she reached out to me a long time ago. She said she liked my work.
Oh, very cool.
I had her come out for the festival at the Stand, and we sold out the big room, and a bunch of my friends couldn't go. Which at first made me sad, and then I realized, wait, that's a flex. Now they like know I'm famous, right?
Right, 100%. That's awesome.
But she loved the show. She loved hanging out because she stayed with me up there.
That's awesome.
And who knows exactly how it's gonna work out, but I'm pretty excited for what we got coming up.
Yeah, I've seen some of both y'all's material, and both of it's hilarious.
I'm newer to comedy than she is. I can do about 20 to 30 minutes because I know my limits. I could do an hour if I was arrogant and be not as good, right? And that's what some people do who are famous on the internet, but I don't want to. So
you said the Matt Rife game plan. I think that's the way that he did it, right?
I don't want to be like Matt Rife, though. I tell you what, have you seen his special?
I started to watch it because I've seen like some of his viral clips, like talking to the audience. I thought he was really good at that. But then like
he's a personable, cute guy, but
yeah, he is. I think he's kind of hot. But like 10 minutes in the special, it was just like misogynistic jokes from the 50s.
I feel like if she could cook, she wouldn't have that black eye.
It's not that they were offensive, okay? It's that
they're just
fucking
bad
funny.
comedy.
They're just not funny. And he pretends like he's getting canceled for being offensive, and it's like that's not the case, dude. Like there's just he didn't have an hour. I'm gonna be honest with you. Matt Rife does not have an hour of comedy. Right. He would be offended by this, but I think that he would just be like a good Ryan Seacrest, right? Like just a palatable, cute white guy who's pretty quick on his feet and can, work because he can reach large audiences that way. And I think he'd be great at something like that, or like a host of something like, I don't know, like Jimmy Fallon or something like that. He would have to be a lot nicer, at least on camera. But yeah, but you want the Netflix special.
Sure.
I want to get like on a shorter set. I don't want a whole hour right now. Like even if they were, they're not going to be offering me an hour anytime soon. But like I wouldn't want that because I know that I don't have the material to really make a strong lasting impression. What I want to do first is prove to people that I can be really funny in a short time span, and then they like know who I am. They write down my name, and then I spend a year or two touring and compiling an hour's worth of material that then I prepare to tape into an hour-long format.
Do you encounter any sort of challenges as a trans person in comedy?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very like the rules are different for me. Like um, the things that like people will laugh about, like changes based on your appearance. And
I get that.
my best stuff is trans dating material, where I just basically make fun of guys who don't want to have sex with trans women.
Also, like genital preference, like I know most of y'all don't eat pussy. Like you clearly don't like it that much, okay? I've got 2 out of 3 fuck holes. Like that's 4 if you count my feet, and 3 if you count my feet.
It's interesting because I always crush with like single gendered tables. So if there's a table full of like 8 guys or like 8 girls, like on a bachelor or bachelorette party, they fucking love me. They're dying laughing. It's like the funniest thing they've ever heard. But if it's a couple, like and usually like on an earlier date or something like that, both of them are like playing this game where
I know
they
exactly
do
what you're
want to
talking about.
laugh a little bit at me, but they don't want to laugh too much where it's suspicious. And they haven't had the would you fuck a tranny conversation yet. And you can see it like in their heads, like how much can I laugh at this without her thinking I'm weird? And then like the
Without
girl
her
like,
checking my, search history.
yeah. And that's the constant struggle is making cis people feel okay with laughing at my jokes. Because when I first started out doing this, I would a lot of times talk about like I would have some like really sad details in it that are like true. It's just my life. But it would make them so sad that the reaction I would get is just like, oh, you don't want that in comedy, right? That kills the room. So I, started like taking out details that makes it too sad or whatever, and just keep the jokes in, and it helps a lot better.
Are there any topics or aspects of your life that are like especially rich for comedic expression?
I do a lot of stuff about dating men, and then I'm more of a lesbian. Like I'm bisexual, but I'm more of a lesbian than into guys. But the material about guys, I've made more of because I don't know, it's funnier. I don't want to roast lesbians or something like that. Like that's not as fun, right? That's and now I'm trying to do more material about dating girls, because it is a different perspective as a trans woman.
Sure.
That's is another thing. When I get off stage, people assume I'm straight, and that's not good. So I got to change that image.
Is that how you find your
I think it's
people, I guess? Like, do you find people like after being on stage?
Oh, I'm trying not to,
Do your
but it
best,
happens a
but,
lot.
sometimes.
My last girlfriend came to one of my shows. That's how I found her. That was terrible.
Like, was your sexuality always static, or did you have any shifts? Because to your
No,
point,
it
you're
changed.
mentioning having, like done jokes about dating guys. Was that because you were dating guys back then?
I mean, so I used to only like girls. I didn't like guys at all before I transitioned. And then when I
Same.
transitioned, I didn't want guys who were into me for being a guy, right? Like, so, but whenever they're
Oh,
into me for
totally.
being a girl,
Yeah.
completely different. So now I date both, but I had a boyfriend for 3 years, and I've had about a cumulative 6-7 years of dating girls. So I'm experienced, I guess. What was the original question? I was going to say something interesting. I can't
Oh,
forget
just
what.
if
You're asking about why I write the material about guys, and
I was
no,
curious
this was not about guys that I've like actually dated. It's just like
Okay.
online interactions or interactions with dudes who are weird and stuff like that.
I put a Q&A as a story up saying that we're going to interview you like 20 minutes before I got on, and I just like glanced on it, and like several of the questions are dudes asking to marry you.
You can't steal
Wait,
Alana's
wait,
men.
wait. So the questions
steal
that
her
these people were
chasers.
asking is that they were just saying they wanted to marry me.
There were a few like, let her know I love her comedy and if she'll marry me.
Oh, that's
You're
so
stealing
cute.
Alana's chasers, and frankly, that's disgusting.
I mean, you can have them, but
Stay in your lane, Stacy.
You can have mine too.
I wanted to ask though, so like from the moment that like I knew that you did do stand-up comedy, I kind of, and this, I don't know if this is even insulting, but like I kind of pictured you as like Mrs. Maisel, but the trans version of that.
Oh my
The
god.
way that, sorry, and the way that I know you just shrugged that off. Like, I'm sure you've gotten that. It's annoying as fuck.
I've never watched that show. I watched like the first 2 episodes, but I've had so many people be like, "Oh my god, you do comedy just like Mrs. Maisel." Like,
Well,
I like
it's
that
not
show.
so it's not just the comedy. It's the fact that like she got into comedy, randomly in her adult life and like, was amazing at it from the get-go. So I always kind of pictured you like being in that first club, being kind of put on the spot and then doing an amazing set. I don't know like what the actual first time you jumped on stand-up, like what was that first time out a nerve-wracking experience or
I think it was in the back of a truck, on outside of a bar.
Sounds like a fun date.
One of my first like shows where I did like significant time. I did 20 minutes, which is way too much time for me at the time. I didn't have enough. So what I did is I added a burlesque act and I crushed with that crowd. Like they loved me, and that was I don't know if okay, I guess I'll just say this. My boyfriend at the time broke up with me after that show because he decided that I was going to be too famous for him.
damn, that's
I'm not trying to be arrogant here.
that's the most backhanded way of being broken up with I've ever heard of.
I assume that's why you see a lot of celebrities dating celebrities, right? Because they understand that lifestyle. They understand, what it's like to have to be somewhere for 5 months out of the year, or they understand what it's like to have that kind of pressure on them. Do you feel that you would be better served dating within the industry, or do you prefer somebody who is outside of that bubble so you can kind of separate yourself from that at home?
Dude, I don't want to date a comedian. Oh my God. Like, these people are nuts. I mean, there's like, I feel like, I don't know, people break it all the time. Like, comedians are always like, don't date other comedians, but then they do it, because they meet one person who's like kind of hot and stuff like that. But I don't, theoretically, I don't want to date anybody who might talk about me on stage after we break up, right?
That
Fair.
that makes sense.
And like, and now I'm at a point to where I'm like, when I realize that someone like doesn't know anything about Twitter, I'm just like, oh my God, we're a perfect match. Like, I'm so happy to meet someone who doesn't know any of this shit.
Yeah, I
in
never
the
got into
world.
Twitter. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Lucky.
I never got it in general.
I hate Twitter. I hate all these people.
I hate
They're
it with a
horrible.
passion.
Like, the algorithm just it incentivizes you saying the craziest thing possible.
It really does.
Like,
Like
all that
people
matters is engagement.
people
And
get paid for that now.
and I know it. I know intellectually that they're trying to say the craziest thing possible, and it still makes me so mad because like I just feel like humans shouldn't be that stupid, right?
Regarding Twitter and Elon Musk, what has been your kind of sentiment ever since he took over?
This guy's an idiot. He doesn't care about the longevity of the company, like, clearly. Did y'all see the interview of him
Yeah.
with the New York Times?
He either looked like on something or just like his anxiety was off the charts, but he kept glancing between the interviewer and the audience, like he wasn't sure which one to elicit a reaction from.
This dude is unstable, and he was saying about like how he's gonna let them kill Twitter, and then everyone's gonna be mad at Disney for killing Twitter or whatever.
He said that they are, if they want to blackmail him,
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money,
which I don't know if he's familiar with that term, because that implies that they have something on him. Like, do they have Musk's, dick pics or something like that?
He's already got pictures of him out there of Epstein. Like, what else? What more you need?
That's true.
Speaking of Musk's dick pics, do you think he has a tiny dick? Is that why he builds rockets? Is he like compensating?
I don't want to theorize too much about Elon Musk's dick,
Do you
but
think he has one?
maybe that's why he hates trans people so much, because
He had that trans daughter,
yeah,
that like got emancipated, self-emancipated,
just
or something
owned
like that. Yeah, exactly. And I think that he said in some interview that was like part of
So
why.
he bought a whole social media site to just, you know, own his
Well,
daughter.
if you're the richest person in the world, you don't
I
know what to
know,
spend
isn't
money
that
on.
crazy? This is why you can't let people get this rich. You have to start taking their money at some point, or they get so crazy that they can't do anything.
I think his like biggest pride and joy currently is like trying to be the internet's biggest edgelord. And that's just where he, I don't know, gets his rocks off.
Yeah, because it's not enough to like be running SpaceX and stuff like that. Like that's not enough for you.
No, you have to impress the bros on Twitter.
I feel like he was never popular growing up, and now that he has money and stuff, everybody wants to hang out with him, and he thinks he's cool.
Oh,
Because
this
now he's
dude.
like got all his friends or whatever, and he's like going through what like a lot of like teenage boys go through, where they're like they gotta like show off for their friends and like make everybody like them. Like he's in
Yeah,
that stage, but then at some point he's gonna realize nobody really likes him. At one point we did. I used to idolize him. I thought he was amazing. I thought he was gonna
I
make
liked him too. I thought he was fine, and
I thought he was
because he
great.
wasn't
Yeah, I was
saying
like,
Nazi stuff
wow.
on the internet. It's
Yeah.
it's really the Nazi stuff that was that was it for me.
Yeah. Kind of got fucked up real quick.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like when he first like remember the kids being trapped in the cave, and then he was like talking about
Yeah,
sending
that
in
was
the little
weird.
submarine, and then he called the one guy a pedophile. And I was like, maybe he's just really tired because he's been working too long and he's just saying shit, and then like it just never stopped.
No, for real though, like the stuff he says is so crazy. Like I think this guy does a ton of drugs.
He definitely seems like he's on cocaine, I think.
He's not in a rational state, I don't feel like. He needs to be I don't know. We got to do something about him. He's a national security problem.
We got a
I don't
5150 the guy.
Also federalize Twitter. Take it away from him. He doesn't need it anymore.
So going forward, are you planning on still tweeting like normal, or?
Well, I mean, I don't know about normal because the platform is just different. I still need to be everywhere, and that's just kind of how the nature of being a comedian. I need
Yeah,
I
I
need to be on
understand
all the
that.
sites. I hope that it transfers all the way over to Threads.
I don't know that it will, just for the fact that like Threads is kind of tied to your Instagram, and
Mhm.
there's more option for being kind of anonymous on Twitter. I feel
Right.
like than
That's a
anywhere
big
else.
part of it, and also porn.
Yeah,
People want to do
that
porn on their
right.
Twitter,
That is true.
right?
That is
And
true.
that's why a lot of the people are there, and I don't use it for that at all. So I don't really identify with that need.
Yeah, I want to use
But
it to like get on like Marjorie Green's account and yell something at her every now and then anonymously, but that's it.
until it actually burns down, like I'm gonna be on the ship, you know, playing nearer my God to thee with the boys, right? Like the Titanic. But yeah, I can't just isolate myself entirely from it because it's too big. It affects too much of what's going on in the world.
Do you find any good comedy from those political moments? You know how they do like on the Daily Show. Do you actively like feed into that and like try to make fun of the stupidity of those?
So when I talk about politics on Twitter, it's hard for me to just make jokes about it, right? Like I can make jokes about particular like clown stuff that somebody does. But it's like I'm very passionate
Sure.
about this stuff. And sometimes I will joke about it. And sometimes I think maybe this sounds arrogant, but I'm too pretty to talk about politics now. People take it differently than back whenever I was not. Like people want to find any excuse to just yell at me now. It's kind of crazy.
It's
So
interesting the ways that like transphobia and misogyny intersect,
mhm.
and like, I don't know which one is like
It's
you
always
know,
hard to tell about which
yeah.
one it is.
A lot of the time, it seems like people they hate the concept of trans people because they've been told to, right? So it's like this idea, but as soon as they meet an individual, they're like, oh, well, you're like a good trans person. You're like a real
Right.
trans person. You're not like the ones I hear about on TV, right?
You have a sense of humor, Stacy. Like what? I thought you guys were all, cardboard.
They always say that like trans people are so sensitive. But the truth is, trans comedians, we are constantly making our jokes more approachable to cis people because otherwise we'll like depress them or we'll be too real. You have to kind of use your I don't know, baby gloves or whatever with them
100%.
sometimes.
like I don't do comedy, but like with just advocacy, I feel like I'm constantly straddling that line of like, is somebody going to get inadvertently offended by broaching something that asks them to be remotely introspective? And it's always trying to find the most strategic way of getting people to want to respect me. We're the sensitive ones, but we're constantly having to look out for other people's sensitivity in that way, just so they don't disregard us.
So,
yeah, I mean, I
you
think
know,
it does. Go ahead.
so have you noticed any shifts in audience reactions to like your comedy over time? Like, has there been
Mhm.
more acceptance or more pushback?
2 years ago, people would have no idea what I was talking about. A lot of people, I had to like educate them what a trans person was on stage because they didn't know. But now everybody knows. Like even on
Right.
all these conservative rooms, they usually have negative opinions about
They
us.
know us for the wrong reasons, I would say. All the reasons the people that hate us want us to be known for.
Now there's a joke I do a lot that I open with that would not have worked 2 years ago. I say, hello, I'm transgender, like from the news. My grandma calls me every day and says, hey, you're in the news again. And I'm like, Grandma, that was Caitlyn Jenner. We don't want, we didn't even go to the same surgeon. But then I start talking about like how we're in the news, and it's like nobody can deny that we're not being talked about all the time, like because we are. Like everybody is fucking talking about us on like the shit that they run on Fox News. It's nonstop.
Trans. It's everywhere.
A new transgender policy.
Women's rights are being eroded.
Now I got to make my jokes about that rather than defining the narrative.
That was my biggest thing with like Dave Chapelle, was the fact that, like you said, 2 years ago, a lot of people didn't know a lot of this stuff. So his jokes weren't merely just like pushing the envelope. They were establishing what the envelope even is for people education wise.
TERF is an acronym. Stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. I'm Team TERF.
And like, if that's your glimmer into what trans people are like, I feel like that's a very odd straw man way for the sake of comedy.
Right. And I mean, here's the thing, like I appreciate jokes. I actually liked a lot of Dave Chappelle's jokes about trans people. I mean, I didn't like love them, but like
No, he had a couple good ones.
I was fine
like,
with it. He had a few
funny ones, yeah.
jokes about us in the previous specials, but when it got to the closer, it was just like a 45-minute manifesto on why he doesn't like trans women and why that's okay. And using his dead trans friend. She wasn't his friend. She opened for him and he made fun of her. All right. Like
right. And seemed like he had a vendetta from that time in the past.
He misgendered her from the grave. Like he was calling her a guy.
He was a wonderful woman.
It was rough. So when I liked Dave Chappelle up until that point, and then I realized, this dude's just like an old guy who gets up there and rants. And I haven't watched him in a while, but I mean, me and him go to the same club in New York. I've never actually been there while he was there, thank God. But I know people who like work with him who know him pretty well, and this dude sucks. This dude is like, his shows, like they confiscate everybody's phones so that nobody can record, and he just gets like extremely drunk and just goes up there and says, just rambles, and usually it includes a lot of transphobia and anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the backlash that like he got from trans people fueled him to actually do it more? Just like with like J.K. Rowling. Do you feel like the backlash that she got fueled it more and more, and they kind of like both just became more iconic as transphobes?
It's like you punch someone in the face, and then they punch you back, and then now it's a scene, right?
Like he wasn't serious about it until we punched back.
No, I do think he was serious about it the whole time. He's also allegedly he sleeps with a lot of trans women. All right. He has.
That's what I've heard
in the
too.
past. And he's even in one of his older specials, he told a story about sleeping with trans women.
And we ended up having breakfast together. I'll grow up. That doesn't make me gay. I just titty fucked her. His titties are as real as any titties in LA.
And for some reason, he just thinks it's very important to put us down all the time. And like, I mean, did you see that picture with him and Lauren Boebert?
I did, yeah.
I heard about that.
And then people are trying to pretend like he didn't mean for it or whatever. You know who Lauren Boebert is, okay? You know the kind of stuff she does. And he sat there and like let her use his image because he agrees with the politics.
Totally.
And I'm sick of people trying to tell me that it's just comedy. It's not. It's a political agenda.
It's insane. Especially the chick who gave a hand job in a theater. That's the better moral arbiter in society.
I don't know if it's morality that fuels him or just say whatever's popular.
I guess
I don't know.
Considering people like Dave Chapelle, but who aren't famous, right? People who still have those views, they inevitably end up at your shows, right? And you end up getting hecklers. So how do you handle hecklers or people who may not understand or appreciate the nuances of transgender themed comedy?
So I've never actually gotten a heckler. Well, not that kind of heckler. There's this one dude in one of the clubs in New York. He had gone up, someone in one of the hosts asked anybody if there was anybody here who was like a DeSantis fan. All right, and it's a room of about 100 people, and one guy like said it with his chest, like very into DeSantis. And this dude turned away from the stage for my entire set, like just like looked, like wouldn't even like look at me while I'm up there.
How much of a baby do you have to be to like?
I know they don't even want to look at the people that they're like trying to exterminate, right?
At least
like we're
look
so
at me.
disgusting to them that we don't even deserve to be seen.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's discussed. I think it's like they just have been told, like, even acknowledging anything about trans people is given into the woke liberal agenda or whatever. So it's like that's their open protest, but again, being fucking babies.
And I know he thought the stuff that I was saying was funny because it's objectively funny. Okay, the room liked it.
To that point, like, do you think humor can be a powerful tool for breaking down stereotypes and kind of getting people to understand like trans people? Do you think that maybe people will go and think about it and maybe change some of their stances based on what you say?
Yeah, I think it helps a lot for people to see like a trans woman in real life with a microphone. And the thing about stand-up comedy is all about making yourself relatable in a very short time that can be taken out of context and still is funny to basically anybody. A lot of these people, like I'm the first trans person almost every time I'm performing. I'm the first non-drag queen,
right, first glimmer and humor in that regard with trans people.
They don't ever like see a trans woman just going up and performing like jokes and stuff. So I think every time they do that, they're like, oh, this is like a real person.
Right.
I wonder at some point, are people going to get bored of us and then these jokes are going to stop working and I'm going to have to do more? Or is it they're going to be getting more increasingly educated about us in like a good way or a bad way? I don't know.
It's probably going to be bad for at least a while, but then I think the breaking point will shift back the other direction. But I mean, I ideally would love people to get bored of us. I hate talking about us.
I hate having to track the news all the time. I hate knowing about how the Missouri legislature works. I don't want to know these procedural rules. I shouldn't have to go to their fucking hearings and find out all these things about how the politics works because I like don't care about that. I don't want to have to learn that stuff. And they're forcing me to, and I would love it if they would fucking stop. Missouri introduced 24 anti like LGBT bills.
Yeah.
And it's like priority number one. Like these
really
people
is.
like really like they will actually say that. Like they'll say number one.
Oh yeah.
That the governor was like, we are not abandoning the secession until you guys ban trans girls from sports.
All that money for their salaries and all the effort to about getting like one or two people that are 12 years old banned from a sports team. It's fucking insane.
They do it because it crushes with donors.
With voters, so like it's not successful with voters though. So it's like it may be successful with donors. So like at what point do they recognize that it's not a winning strategy and at the polls?
They still believe Trump won in 2020. They think he won in 2020 and they're going to push him again in 2024 because they think he won and they think he's going to win again. So they've rejected reality a long time ago and they will just keep losing on this thing. And I don't see an end to it.
I think a big reason to that maybe is like being a politician nowadays is being a social media star kind of like, so it's like the people that have the most clout on Twitter and get their feedback through clapbacks.
Yeah, a lot of them care more about being famous than they do about winning elections, right? Like they're just trying to build their brand, right? They're not trying to have a coalition to pass
Totally.
meaningful legislation or anything like
Well,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, when you see conservative like goals, like there is no like policy that they actually really care about that's actually like helping the American people. It's always just fuck the libs.
You really got to see that in overdrive after 2008, whenever Obama won. The Republican Party shifted to now all they have to do is be anti-Democrat, anti-Obama, and they win elections.
And back in the Obama times is where that kind of initial transphobia in politics started to seep out with like the conspiracy theory about Michelle Obama.
When they were talking about how Michelle's a man, I was like, oh my God, we have a first lady who's trans. That's amazing. And then like I like looked up online for like proof of it, and all I saw was just like bullshit. It was just racism and transphobia.
I had like a friend of mine like send me even like no, check out the proof, and sent me like some picture that took like 2 seconds to look up the original picture that somebody just used like a face app filter to swap the genders on. And it's just nobody even cares to go through a second of Googling.
My reaction to the Michelle Obama thing was like, oh my God, who's her surgeon?
But I actually, regarding politics, well, I don't think transphobia is a winning strategy by any means. I'm not so positive about the 2024 election. Like what's your kind of prediction with that?
Biden's gonna win again, unless he's dead.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, like the polls right now aren't real. They're a year out, and looking at the crosstabs of them, they show giant shifts in demographics like that are not. American politics has never moved like that in that short of a time span. The crosstabs had the black vote shifting 30 points towards Trump. The most a racial demographic has ever shifted in between 4 elections in 4 years was 14 points towards Obama in 04 and 08. That was the most. So these polls are predicting a shift in the black vote that is double of what Obama was.
Right. That definitely seems like an outlier.
I do think that 24 goes, I think we'll probably lose the Senate. Democrats will, but they'll make gains in the House and take the presidency again. And if they don't take the presidency, I'm fucking leaving, because that's going to be horrible.
Oh, that will be horrible. I don't know if you've seen the Project 2025.
I have. It keeps me up at night.
And I think like every negative law you see being pushed about trans people at any red state is going to be like put on the national docket. I think it'll be like very difficult to use the restroom without it violating a law potentially anywhere.
One thing we have going for it, this could all fall apart if Trump actually gets reelection, but in 2020, we got the Bostock v. Clayton County ruling, which was that the Civil Rights Act explicitly applies to trans people. 2 of the people who ruled in favor of trans people in Bostock are justices who are conservative justices who are still on the court. So even with the 6-3 conservative majority they have, if those 2 justices support their own decisions, because one of them even wrote the decision, if they support their own decisions, it'll be a 5-4 vote in favor of trans people.
Yeah, I don't share exactly your optimism. I appreciate it though, especially because like I know that you are very politically savvy. I unfortunately am like obsessed with politics. But when I hear another person have kind of opposite ideals or idea of what's going to happen, I think it's a little optimistic to me, at least. Like I feel less optimistic that Biden's going to win. Personally, I would have thought like several months ago I would have said probably, but I think the whole like Israel-Hamas thing might have added more confusion between Democrats than where Republicans would stand on stuff like that. So I don't know how that'll affect 2024 support or not.
I don't think Biden has approved of the way the IDF has been handling themselves from the beginning. Like he doesn't say that publicly because they're an ally, right? You don't want to just say, but they're it's not just that they're going to war, it's the way they're doing it. They don't care about civilians.
Right.
There's no sane people in charge in the area anymore. And it could go absolutely insane. And Israel has nukes. They can be a big problem.
A hypothetical World War III, something that I was talking with some friends about recently was a potential draft and how that could affect trans people. I'm not saying that a draft would happen, but I thought that if your gender was changed legally on your birth certificate and everything else, you would not be eligible as a trans woman for a draft. But it's not like that. It has to be before you're 18, because once you sign up after you're 18, you are still eligible. So hypothetically, a bunch of trans women could get drafted.
Well, if Trump is president, we'll get banned again. So
right, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I found out that you got to be under 26 to get drafted. So I'm like, I'm old. Like, I'm solid.
You're fine. You're not going to get drafted. First of all, I don't think the U.S. is going to be doing a draft like ever again.
Oh, I don't think so either.
We have drones. We have drones. Like,
Yeah, we're solid.
Sure.
And we
We'll
have
get Elon Musk's robots out there.
Okay, I think we're probably not going to get drafted.
No, definitely not.
I don't know about y'all. I'm so young that I'm kidding. I wish I was.
Yeah, Alana's like,
I'm so worried because
14.
I'm only 20. And
Naomi, did you have anything you wanted to mention real quick or ask before I hop to these questions?
No.
You said you don't have hecklers because somebody asked you have a favorite takedown for a heckler.
I have internet hecklers, which I've done a lot of takedowns on. I've never done one in person.
Yeah, I get internet hecklers too, but like not to your degree. And I don't know if that's because you're so like fucking beautiful that they like to,
I talk a lot of shit too. Like, I am very outspoken and strong.
Yeah, Alana, like, also shut up. You're beautiful as fuck. And you know
yeah, you're also very pretty. So that's not the difference, right? Yeah, this is all tens.
I will say, yeah, because I follow you on, I think, like, I'm not really on Twitter, so I don't follow you on where you're the biggest, but like I follow you on Instagram and Facebook, and like, interestingly, it seems like Facebook people give you more shit than anywhere else that I've seen.
It's the hate groups, man. They share me to these hate groups, and it just
that's what it is.
People that just, I don't know how these hate groups don't get automatically banned, because they like have slurs in the names of the groups. So
yeah, I've seen those.
I've toggled between like allowing the whole public to see it, and then also just make it to where like only like my followers can comment on it.
I mean, I think I've gotten in a couple arguments with
on my
people,
Facebook pages.
Yeah, commenting on your Facebook.
A lot of my friends take the bait. I like turn off notifications on a lot of whenever these go thing, and I just sometimes I'll like look through my comments and just be like, Jesus Christ, just over like a cute selfie that I did, And like they're clearly jerking off while they're leaving this.
I get that.
Right?
I get that. Yeah.
Because they don't do these under my regular they do them under my when I'm hot, right?
No, I totally get that. Like I'll have a person that'll like talk shit on a post, and like I'll go to like block him, but then see that they follow me, and then like I'll click on the message thing and see that they've been like messaging me for like 2 years.
Right.
Of
I
like
have those too.
on every fucking story, like putting hearts and shit, and then like they have the audacity to like talk shit at some point. But I don't know.
Like the only way they can get your attention.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good one. Is it hard to book shows in more conservative areas of the country, or do you avoid them, or how do you deal with that?
Yes and yes. I mean, honestly, like I can go to other places. I haven't really tried much with the actual clubs. Like I just kind of go to like bookers who like run a show at a bar or something like that, in rural America. But I don't want people. I started getting terror threats at my Missouri shows. Like people would like tweet out like my location and like implied they're gonna come shoot me, right?
Yeah, some the TikTok shit. Yeah.
So I had some people with guns show up to like, keep a lookout. But I don't want to have to be doing that. So
no, not at all.
And when I'm done with my show in these places, I get out. Like I don't want to hang around and talk to people, because while I'm sure most of the people are going to be amicable, like there's probably going to be some really weird person trying to talk to me.
Have you had any weird like fan experiences or like any
Yes.
interactions? Okay.
Yeah, all the time. It's at like all my shows now. I don't like people to see me before the show, so like I always try to get there early and hide in the green room, so I can like come out and fresh. And then after the show, I always stick around because I want to talk to my fans, especially the trans girls. Like it's crazy how many like cute trans girls just show up to my shows, like because I see like there's a lot of trans people on Twitter who hate me. Like they like literally will just be like, shut the fuck up, bitch. I hope you die. Like it's the that kind of stuff I get from like people who think I'm not leftist enough.
I mean,
or whatever.
trans Twitter is a very like reaction. It's very reactionary, even though they hate reactionaries.
They're very intense for sure.
Okay. How hard is it getting interrupted during your set before a punchline?
That's the worst because you do so much work to set up that punchline. And it's important for that punchline to hit quickly.
Sure.
One time a girl told me in the middle of one of my jokes, it was like near the punchline of one of my best jokes. She said like slay or something like that. And I would rather have her just call me a slur than yell slay at me while I'm doing fucking comedy. This is not, RuPaul's Drag Race, right?
I know that
and she was trying to be nice. She was trying to be all supportive and all that kind of stuff, but it just threw me off my set so bad.
Your thoughts on if the Steelers will move on from QB1 in the next year or two? I don't really know much about football, but
QB, you mean Kenny Pickett? If they'll move on from Kenny Pickett? No, I think Kenny Pickett's the man. He just keeps getting hurt. Now none of y'all will do any football, do you? One of you.
I look like football.
This is the worst part about being trans, to be honest. I don't have any friends that know sports anymore. Okay, but back to the question. Kenny Pickett's, I think he's the guy. He can really hit throws. He's pretty smart. People talk shit. They say that his hands are too small. People say he has little bitty hands, but like he hits on target balls. Mitch Trubisky fucking sucks. He's our backup. That guy is the worst NFL quarterback I think I've ever seen. I don't know how he still has a job. Interrogate me like you're the CIA. Like make me watch Mitch Trubisky football, because I've had to watch a lot of this guy and it's just excruciating because he can't fucking do anything.
I agree. I don't know. I joined like a fantasy football thing.
Oh, you play fantasy football this year?
Well, I joined at my work because they had like a big pool and we're like on Slack and the channel for it, but like I like checked out 2 weeks into the season.
So when are trans women going to get banned from fantasy football?
Soon, hopefully, so I can't. Sorry, guys, I can't play you guys. It's against the law. I said I was too good at this, so.
Out of curiosity, because you like basketball, and I know that you play video games because you played at least Diablo for like a day or something, but do you play like NBA 2K at all? Or did
no,
you?
I hate 2K. I used to play it back in the day, like the old like 2K. I think 2K4 is the one I played the most.
Okay. See, I probably haven't played since like 2K8 or something, but
yeah, I played a little of 2K8, but it's just the same game every year.
The only sports game I ever played was Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City. And it was like
you played my God, what is this?
Fire basketballs and ice basketballs, and you would throw them at like spiders
shit,
and shit,
I've never
like
seen
monsters.
This before.
It was a vibe.
Okay, I can see why he buried this. Yeah, this is not something you're proud of. That face he's making on the cover. Oh my God.
Also, like, I just noticed that like my hair is covering my tank top and I look naked.
Hot.
Oh yeah.
I look fully naked right now. I really should have wore the jacket, Alana.
You kind of look like the logo that you designed that doesn't have clothes on it.
Or the T. Yeah, I mean the current version of it has clothes. I just sent it to you before, like I put the clothes on her.
So cordially Chloe said, Stacy, how did you become so funny and when can we go for drinks again?
Yeah, at my next show in New York, I'll say hi again. Congrats on your FFS, by the way. I hope the healing's good and everything. And also why I became so funny. I don't know. Not really sure what happened, but trauma has a lot to do with it for sure. And
I mean, I've had a lot of trauma, but I never got funny.
You're not funny?
I disagree. You're pretty funny, Alana.
It's like a very like weird, awkward.
Especially when you're high. When you're high as fuck, like, and I'm making fun of you to
I
like.
was high as fuck at the beginning of this.
No, we were in an Uber and like I was just like hating on Alana the whole time, and she was like, I don't know, said some funny shit back. You're funny.
Well, no, you like told like some Uber driver that I'm like a fucking like racist against Arabs or some shit, and that made things really awkward because I'm not at all.
No, I just said you're a
Oh, that's
terrible
why it
person,
made it awkward, is
basically.
because you're not. Okay.
Yeah, well, right.
I didn't say she was racist against Arabs. What?
It wasn't like
No.
very pointed like that, but it was the subtext was there.
You guys talk to your Uber drivers?
I
Oh,
do.
hell yeah.
That's
Do you not?
rude. What's wrong with y'all?
No, like first thing I do is like,
You
yeah,
get
how was your
in.
night?
You get in, you say your name. You don't say shit unless they talk to you. And then you say thank you and you get out of the car and tip them 20%. That's the rules, okay?
Oh wow. We definitely
it's
violate.
different.
Like second question, Naomi's like, what country are you from?
Oh Jesus.
I don't fucking know.
Okay, how can men be better allies in ways that complement masculinity and set a good example?
Well, okay, whenever you hear your friends say transphobic shit or transphobic jokes, you don't have to like yell at them or stop being friends with them, but like say something to let them know
Yeah.
that this is dumb, right?
Yes.
That helps a lot
Yeah.
with guys' socialization. Like, they can like goad each other in the right direction. Like
Right.
guys need that. Like male socialization, they need
Peer
like
pressure.
yeah, they need bullies, okay? Guys
need
kind
bullies.
of need not like beating people up, but like when someone says something out of pocket, you just kind of be like, like say something that's lets them know that you don't really think it's cool that was out of pocket, and a lot of times they'll change. Like sometimes they'll change just as a person. And
I'm gonna
if
clip
you
that the guys need bullies and just put that part like as a promo.
And I don't think anybody needs bullied either, for clarification.
it's just important with guys to stop other guys from scaring the hoes. Okay, you need to do this. Like even for selfish reasons, if you want to get pussy, you need to stop hanging around guys who scare the hoes.
What if the hoes don't have pussy?
Hoes always have pussy, whether or not it's literal or figurative. It's still,
It might not be in the front, but it may be in the back.
right. Yeah, we can always make it work.
By the way, here's the first two questions I got were like literally just like
I'm currently single and not looking for anybody, but you can subscribe to my passes if you want.
There you go. And where can people like subscribe to or find material on or support you in some way?
Well, I mean, if you subscribe to my Patreon for the spend the night, you can see all of my old shows that I live streamed.
So Stacy, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure being able to spend the night with you. Had to put that in there, sorry. But really loved it, and hopefully you can come back and join us again at some point.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the show. This was great. I loved meeting you and Naomi and Cassandra. Sorry, Cassandra, you're gonna look great after your shit comes off. Don't look in the mirror for a while. You'll heal up.
Killer.
It'll be great.
Appreciate it.
I've been reading your comments here, so I haven't been ignoring them. It's just kind of like hard to, because these bitches won't shut up. I can't.
I'm sorry.
Oh, totally. No worries.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Well, that was exciting. I have been wanting to talk with her forever. Like, I've always been intimidated about the prospect of stand-up. Talking to her, who I think she's hilarious, but seeing still how calculated it has to be when telling a joke, and knowing that that's what an amazing comedian goes through, has really solidified that I will never even like attempt stand up on like a cruise ship, in the karaoke lounge or anything.
Yeah, during the sleigh thing, like a couple models told me I should do stand up, and I was like, I don't have it in me. I would not be able to do it.
At this point, you almost have the trans trifecta, between modeling. What else did you do? Wait, there's something else that. Sorry.
What's the trans trifecta?
Like in acting, just like singing, dancing, and whatever the fuck the other one of that is. I feel like with
That you
trans
got?
people, it's like
I model, I design, I produce
there you go.
documentaries.
Yeah, you design. That's what it is. Yeah, so you're a modeler, designer. Just need to add in comedy, and then you've got the EGOT. That's what that award is. The EGOT.
Yeah, the EGOT. Yeah.
Did you say
You
he
and
got? Did you just
Whoopi.
misgender me?
No.
She got, baby.
Sorry, this took a very weird turn, but I promise episode 3 will be even more normal. Any last words you want to throw in there?
I think I would just like to say that it's lovely to see a trans woman succeeding in comedy.
Definitely.
We are so
Very much so.
underrepresented in so many facets of entertainment. And anytime I see someone succeeding, it literally warms my heart. So I hope to see more trans women and trans men, non-binary people actively pursuing what they love. So if you're listening to this and you have a talent, something that you love, we fully support you, and we hope to see you.
Totally.
Make it.
Otherwise, you're stuck doing a fucking podcast. Kidding.
When also on the comedy front too, it's nice to be a part of the joke, not being laughed at, because there's a lot of funny things to transitioning, and
There really are.
yeah, being able to actually do that while being respectful and not dehumanizing and coming from a place of hate, like, it's great to see. That's how it should be.
Yeah, being trans is a funny experience, but
There are so many funny things about being trans.
oh yeah, it's so unique. But to Cassandra's point, yeah, I mean, oftentimes when you hear comedy related to us, it comes from a place of hate. And I think, yeah, it is nice, isn't it, Cassandra, to have one of us telling the jokes.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, with that, this has been a fun episode. Can't wait for the next one. This has been Tea for Tea. Bye, everyone.